father's home, the enjoyment of your life, and your friends' company. I am alone. I have no city. Now my husband insults me. I was taken as plunder from a land at the earth's edge. I have no mother, brother, nor any of my own blood to turn to in this extremity. So I make one request. If I can find a way to work revenge on Jason for his wrongs to me, say nothing. And woman's weak and timid in most matters. The noise of war, the look of steel makes her a coward. But touch her right in marriage, and there's no bloodier spirit. Now, she has really stated her case very well. I think Euripides is already making us feel sympathetic towards her plight. She's a foreigner. She has nobody near her. She can't talk to anybody. Her husband doesn't want that. He wants to marry another woman. Not simply that they just decided to get a divorce and go their own ways. He wants to banish her from there, so she will be completely on her own. So can you see how already there's a bit of sympathy forming for Medea? Do you want to make a comment about this before we continue? What else is there here?
Does it say where she actually came from?
Hmm?
Does it say, do you know where she actually came from?
She doesn't say it here, but they all know that she has come with Jason from elsewhere.
Yes.
They know where Jason comes from, and they also know that she's his foreign wife, his barbaric wife. She came from another land. So the people there, the women of Corinth, know that because they've been living there for a few years. This thing seems to be in the way a bit, and maybe we're not kind of looking at each other. So now, Jason, now let's look at this. He responds to Medea's accusation that he's abandoning her despite all that she did for him, which was to help him get the golden fleece and so on, come to Greece. She helped him with all that, and she actually killed people to do that as well. So she sacrificed a lot. Now listen how he responds to her. Your services, as far as they went, were well enough. But in return for saving me, you got far more than you gave. Allow me in the first place to point out that you left a barbarous land to become a resident of Hellas. Here you have known justice. You have lived in a society where force yields place to law. As for your scurrilous taunts against my marriage with the royal family, I shall show you that my action was wise, not swayed by passion and directed towards your interests and my children's. No, keep quiet. When I came here from Iolcos as a stateless exile, dogged and thwarted by misfortunes, why, what luckier chance could I have met than marriage with the king's daughter? Imagine, you can't see the irony. If it was not, as you resentfully assume, that I found your attractions wearisome and was smitten with desire for a new wife, nor did I especially want to raise a numerous family. The sons we have are enough, I'm satisfied. But I wanted to ensure first and the most important, that we should live well and not be poor. I know how a poor man is shunned by all his friends. Was such a plan then wicked? Even you would approve if you could govern your sex jealousy. But you women have reached the stage where if all is well with your sex life, you've everything you wish for. But when that goes wrong, at once all that is best and noblest turns to gall. If only children could be got some other way without the female sex. If women didn't exist, human life would be rid of all its miseries.
Let's
He's the one that's creating it. He's the one that's creating
Now,
it.
we need to say anything else.
Typically, mate.
So that's how so it's reason against passion. But what kind of reason is this? Yeah? It's a reason.
Egotistical reason.
So he thinks nothing of it. He'll find a new wife so that they'll be rich and he'll be able to help Medea a little bit, like providing for her. But in fact, the king was going to banish her, exile her. But I think somewhere in the play he promises to mediate between Medea and the king the father-in-law,
It's a male promise.
so that they may help Medea and not Angela. So, in fact, his position is even worse.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
At this point of time, what is Jason's status? Is he well off? Is he poor?
He's just simply a guest in the royal house of Corinthus.
Just a guest. So no
Because
income,
he
no
had
money.
to leave his
Right.
country in Thessalia because of trouble at home, and it's the whole story. So he had to leave, and he ended up there. I mean, he was the son of a king there anyway, so he was royal. That's why the king.
And so was Medea.
And so was Medea, of course. She was the princess of, her country. So, and in fact, she was the granddaughter of the god Helios. Well, it's a bit of, it's not all reality here, but they both kind of have noble origins. So that's why the king there gave them his
But
hospitality.
at this point of time, really, they've got really not very good prospects.
No,
for the future.
no, that's why he says,
So
they
you
have
can see
no money.
Jason as a point of view.
One person can see his point of view, that's good. Now, we want to see the reaction by the women of Corinth, the women of Corinth. They know that she's going to murder her children, and what do they say? Your sorrow next after. Anything else they say? Obviously. Your sorrow next, I weep for pitiable mother. You, for jealousy of your married bed, will slaughter your children. Since disregarding right and loyalty, your husband has abandoned you and lives with another wife. So they feel sorrow and weep for her pitiable, they call it pitiable mother. So we can see a bit of sympathy from the women of Corinth. And then Medea, now we know, is intent on taking revenge, talks to her children and to the women of Corinth. Here we're going to see how she's thinking, how she's preparing for the murder. Dear sons, why are you staring at me so? You smile at me. You smile at me. Your last smile. Why? Or what am I to do? Women, my courage is all gone. Their young, bright faces, I can't do it. I'll think no more of it. I'll take them away from Corinth. Why should I hurt them to make their father suffer when I shall suffer twice as much myself? I won't do it. I won't think of it again. What is the matter with me? Are my enemies to laugh at me? Am I to let them off scot-free? I must steel myself to it. What a coward I am, even tempting my own resolution with soft talk. Boys, go indoors. If there is any here who finds it not lawful to be present at my sacrifice, let him see to it. My hand will not weaken. The horror of what I'm going to do, but anger, the spring of all life's horror, masters my resolve. So, see, she's arguing with herself. Shouldn't do it, it's not right. But then again, the feeling of anger, people will laugh at me, I'm not going to let them laugh at me. I'm not going to get away with it. So,
It's just come to war.
Didn't she chopped up her children on the way to escape and threw them in the stove?
that was her brother. When they were coming back with Jason from her country, from Colchis, her father was pursuing them. So for her to stop that, she killed her brother and chopped him into pieces and threw them in the sea. So the poor father had to collect the pieces of his child's body. So, Medea is no angel. She did all these horrible things. She did all that, for love of Jason. For love of Jason. Shows what people can do for love sometimes. So nobody's innocent in this story. I mean, everybody's guilty, you can see. Except the children. Now, let's see. Just at the end, and then we'll discuss the dialogue between Jason and Medea after the children's murder. So now, Jason has heard of the murder. In the meantime, Medea has sent a poisonous gown and killed the princess. And her father went to touch her and he died as well. So they're dead already. Jason was very angry, but then he finds out that Medea killed the children as well. So now, what does he? So we have now the dialogue between Jason and Medea, and that's when I said before, Euripides is great at these dialogues. This is the last one. So Jason confronts Medea, and the women of Corinth are there as well. You, abomination of all women most detested by every god, by me, by the whole human race, you could endure a mother to lift sword against your own little ones, to leave me childless, my life wrecked. My children now, out of mere sexual jealousy, you murder them. In all Hellas there is not one woman who could have done it. Yet, in preference to them, I married you, chose hatred and murder for my wife. No woman but a tiger, a Tuscan Scylla. Scylla. It's the word Scylla in Greek, that sea monster. But more savage than a sea monster. Medea, you were mistaken if you thought you could dishonor my bed and live a pleasant life and laugh at me. Hurl at me what names you please. I've reached your heart, and that is right. Jason, you suffer too. My loss is yours no less. Medea, it's true, but my pain's a fair price to take away your smile. Jason, oh children, what a wicked mother fate gave you. Medea, oh sons, your father's treachery cost you your lives. Jason, it was not my hand that killed my sons. Medea, no, not your hand, but your insult to me and your new wedded wife. Jason, you thought that reason enough to murder them, that I no longer slept with you? Medea, and is that injury a slight one, do you imagine, to a woman? Jason, yes, to a modest woman, but to you, the whole world lost. Medea, I can stab too, your sons are dead. Jason, dead? No, they live to haunt your life with vengeance. Jason, children, how dear you were. Medea, to their mother, not to you. Jason, dear, and you murdered them. Medea, yes, Jason, to break your heart. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, my hair is standing on end. I've given you a page at the end because I thought instead of what we can do is we can have a look at this list at the end and start discussing. We've got a quarter of an hour. That's enough time to discuss. So I've posed some questions here. Now, as we were reading this, were you thinking also of the two tragic cases that we've had in Victoria?
Yes. Right.
Both men were actually convicted, as you know. In one case, the most recent one, the man said to his wife before he threw his child over the bridge, and I mean, to say these things, I mean, incomprehensible, but he said, you will never see your children again. Sounds like what Medea, almost the same words. And the other man, whose children were found in the dam, he also said to his friend, I'll show her good time. So it really shows that these men were taking revenge on their wives. Now, again, if Euripides was to write a play about those two cases, he might give us enough information about the murderers, the men, so we can not sympathize with them, but understand. The first man with the 3 children had his wife found another man and told him that she wasn't interested in him anymore, wanted to separate. She kept the good car, she kept the house, and the man felt that he was utterly left with absolutely nothing, that out of this, the wife came out as the winner. So Euripides might have put it that way, so that we can not sympathize necessarily, but understand why he did it. Now with this one here, the latest one, again the same story. It seems to be, from what I've read, that the women have fared better in the marriage. We cannot condone what they did. because it's a horrible thing to kill your children, and nobody would ever say you had enough reason to do it. But do we understand Medea